You're not yet reporting to anybody, or are you?
Well, now I start reporting. It's about close to Paul Castellano getting killed. So it's the end of '84 about, prior to Paul getting killed. I start reporting and having conversations more with Senior Gotti. Prior to that, I was involved with Jeannie Gotti, Johnny Cornelia, anybody that was around. Willie Boy Johnson was on a half sheet with him, and Gotti Sr. sent me to him. So I understood that Gotti was my partner, the father. And we had the New York Mets gambling with me. So, so when I moved to a different level. We used to play we used to hang out at a place called Channel 80, and it was a known spot for all gangsters. You'd pull up with a boat. We all had cigarette boats in those days. I had a 280 Baja with Gotti Jr., and we'd pull up to those places, and Roger Basile owned it. He was around Jimmy Burke from Goodfellas. His son Frankie was a good friend of mine. He gets killed also. And I start understanding that we're all living a pretty dangerous life now. Any moment, anybody could get killed. It didn't matter who it was, where it was, in your house, in a business. And it's not like these days where guys aren't shooting. When we were growing up, 70s, 80s, 90s, there was killing was rampant, shootings were rampant, and battings were rampant. So when I'm doing business and I'm talking to Willie Boy Johnson, I understand where it's coming from now. And Gotti had his conversations with me, so Senior had his conversations with me, so I understand the orders are coming from him.
Did you know, were you involved in the Castellano before it happened with Sammy and the team? Was there anything that you know about, or that wasn't at your level yet?
No, it was at my level, but it was through his son. Junior loved to talk to me and brag to me. So privately, Junior told me, I knew I'm involved with Angelo Ruggiero, so I was close with them. I'm close with Johnny Koenig. At this time, I gave a beating to Patsy Catalano's kid, Jeff, who was in the heroin business. Jeannie Gotti and Johnny Koenig asked me to hurt him. I gave a beating to a guy, Frankie. You know, these beatings are serious beatings, not with your hands. Bats, blackjacks. A guy, Frankie, that strayed away from Johnny Koenig, and they asked me to hurt him. Another guy, Mitch Sanders, they asked me to hurt him over some sort of rape with his girlfriend's sister. They accuse him, they go ask him, they ask the Gambino family to do the work. Johnny comes to me. So I start understanding. I hurt Gene Foster on the beach, and I start hurting guys and batting guys and piping guys. And it's coming from, at that time, I didn't really understand it was coming from Gotti Sr. until he didn't like that I didn't jump on a situation fast enough. And he called me in his office, and he said, "Didn't my son tell you to do something?" And then the next conversation I had was, if it's not done, you're going to have a problem. So I took care of business.
Senior told you this?
Yeah. And then I went through that on a regular basis. No, these are beatings still.
Oh, you still haven't,
I'm doing shootings, but I haven't killed anybody besides the Gebbit, and he was the actual shooter. So I don't know how many guys died on that shooting. But, you know, we hit, I believe, 3 guys, and maybe a girl actually was there. So, you know, you don't stand back there and count how many guys are going down. You know they're going down, they're screaming, and he's shooting like crazy.
So that's your first one?
Yeah, that's my first year. I was young. I was 19 years old.
What happened, when that happened to you, were you like, I cannot believe I just did this? What the hell just happened, or were you?
I was mad because I talk about this. Gotti and the kid Jerry were following us in a K car, Junior, and they were supposed to be our blockers. And they took off and made a left when the police were chasing us. Happened the police just stumbled on us. They were coming in the direction of the shooting. It wasn't, and we weren't far from the precincts, from 102nd Precinct, so there's a lot of police cars there. I mean, for them to be coming down the block at that time, you got some bad luck. So after we do the shooting, I would think, you know, I wasn't sure how I would react either, like you're saying. Naturally, you're not sure. Are you gonna hold your mud, or are you gonna panic, or are you gonna, it became very natural to me. It was very easy. I pulled away. The cops were chasing us. Gebbit left the gun in my car, and he jumped out while I was moving. I was going slow down a one-way street. Not slow, but I was coming up to the stop sign. And he jumped out, and he said, "Let me out." As he jumped out, he left the gun, and the cops started chasing me. And my follow car, my backup car, was supposed to be Gotti and his kid Jerry. And they had an excuse why they jumped out. So really, I'm the only guy holding the mud. And I was heading down towards Atlantic Avenue. It was I know the streets there because we lived there. And I know it's a one-way. I open up the passenger door, I open up the other door, I take the gun, and I start huffing on my feet, and I leave the car so the cops can't go by. I get across Atlantic Avenue, I start jumping fences, some backyards, and I'm taking the gun apart and dropping it in sewers as I'm running. And I get myself back to our club on 113th Street, and I'm steaming. And I says, now I want Gebbit. This is the first time I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna get Gebbit. So Gebbit came to the shooting high. He was smoking dust. And he's a wild guy. You know, no doubt, I know Gebbit since he's a kid. He's a shooter. He shot a lot of guys, but he's a guy that's smoking angel dust. So I look at him in a different light now. You're weak. You can't do work without doing that. You left me, and I'm looking at Gotti, and I'm thinking, that's all I'm thinking. And why I stick around is because I have a bigger plan for myself. Because everybody asks me that question, why do you stick around? I says, because Junior wasn't my direction. His father was the direction I was trying to go. And Angelo Ruggiero at the time is moving heroin with Jeannie Gotti, Johnny Koenig. They all get pinched, Mark Ryder. And I'm very friendly with them. And I'm moving I start moving packages, not in their level, in small levels, but I'm moving it through Rikers Island, through another guy that said, Rikers Island, a guy Pete Chrissy, he's dead. He died also, but his brothers are still around there. His brothers work for me. Actually, one of his brothers, Tommy Chrissy, shot Gebbit up before we kill him, always on a kill when we see him, which he lived. But I'm in a different circle, and I understand what I'm involved with now, with Angelo, with Johnny, and the shooting the drug business starts. So I understand, and I know where I want to go. I got the New York Mets gambling with me, and actually, somebody questioned that. I don't remember who, and they came out with a check from Keith Hernandez of $5,000 to show they were paying.
They found the $5,000
Yeah,
check
they
from
put
Keith
it was in the
Hernandez?
papers. It was in the New York papers.
So that's documented.
It's documented.
Got it.
You know, a lot of this stuff I'm speaking about. There's a new book I'm coming out with.
Right.
Doc's out too, and I'm going to come back this time. You know, because I'm going to talk about shooting after shooting, stabbing after stabbing. But this time I told my author I want the witnesses and their names, besides the victims, in that book, and I'm going to do a scorecard inside. So I'm going to show it step by step for the people that don't understand the life.
So at that moment when that event happened with Gotti Jr., is your level of trusting him at a good score? And then after that, it's a scar where you kind of keep it in the back of your mind saying, I can never trust this guy? Like, where are you with him? Because there are certain things where you see somebody do something in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, it's done. I can never trust this guy, but I have to act like I do. Is that kind of what happened between the two of you?
100%, because people ask you this, you know, during the trials. There's a lot of questions from
Right.
lawyers and journalists, and you know, and I said to them, listen, I tell everybody the same thing. You had other positions before this. As a kid, you're growing up, and there's bosses you don't respect, you don't trust, and you keep it there in the back of your head. It's just a lesson learned that you know that you can't trust him. You know that he doesn't belong in this life. As the years are moving on, and not even years, as the months and weeks are going on, I just named probably half a dozen of our friends that are already dead. By the time the next year comes around, I can name another 6, 7 guys that are dead. So peers, good friends, and some of these friends of mine are guys later on that I kill, or I have killed. You know, I had, like Johnny Gebbit, I have him killed. At one time, he was my friend as a kid. He lived around the corner from me. But you're starting to understand the life, and you're starting to understand the treachery, and you're understanding, just like at war, that this is, you're not playing a game no more. You're not in a schoolyard. You're not going to punch a guy in the face, and it's going to end. So you start really understanding when you can't trust somebody, you don't say it. You don't talk. Only the guys that talk end up dead. So, you know, I always use the armed forces. I got a lot of respect for these guys, and I've talked about it on a regular basis, armed forces, because these guys every day put on a uniform, whether they see action, no action, they have the possibility of losing their life. So when people sit in their comfortable homes and they don't salute our flag, or they don't get up and respect people in armed forces around the world, not just this country, I despise them. They're cowards, and I have strong feelings against them, because these men, they lost their mothers, fathers, kids, children, and we have no right in no matter what. And I lived a rough life on the street, and no matter what this country has done to me as far as prisons, I'll never disrespect the flag or the people that fight for our country. So it's very important, and I think that the message of some of these people leave out in the street about something they don't understand, it's important to get the right message out there.
John, at that moment when you're seeing what happened with you and Gotti Jr., was there a moment where the next time you saw him where he couldn't look at you in your eyes? Was there anything like that where the tension was felt, or no, you acted like everything was okay? Like even a smile like you just made right now, that smile tells 50 stories, right? Yeah. So you know what I'm saying, when you see somebody and there's a smirk or a smile or a squint or an angle of looking at him, is there any of that felt between the two of you, or nothing at all?
Yeah, I asked him what happened. He gave me an answer. I knew it was bullshit, and I didn't question it anymore. I just put it in the bank and said, okay, I know what he's made of now. So I understood at that moment that he'll sell me out any second, any time. And later on he does. Yeah.
So then this leads me to the next question. Now you're saying in that moment you have bigger ambitions on what you want to do, right? You're saying I have bigger ambitions, but you're Albanian, right? You can't be a made man in a Gambino family and be Albanian. You got to be Italian, right? I mean, that's one of the things that they had themselves, especially to go be a boss. To be the boss, it's a complete different story. So as much as you're motivated and ambitious to do it, what was your formula on how to get to the top?
No, I understood technically I couldn't be officially made, technically. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, in every other aspect of that street world, I'm considered being made guy. I'm considered being almost a boss on the street. I'm considered by anybody in the mob, because you know what runs the world of the mafia is violence and money. So if you can, I had the qualities that other guys didn't. I was intelligent, so I knew how to make money. I knew how to operate businesses, and I was vicious. So those qualities make me become another Jimmy Burke, who was Robert De Niro, Goodfellas.
Of course, yeah.
His son was my Goodfellas. So I looked at Jimmy Burke, and I don't think there was anybody ever, when he was in jail on the streets, would ever say, "Oh, you're Irish. We're not respecting you as a gangster or as a mob guy." Or Joe Watts, who was a very personal friend and a known killer in our family, and John Gotti Sr.'s main guy, and he was German. So there's guys that I looked at and said, I'm going to be them. And I did become them. The guys testified in trials in court that I had my own crew, and it was very unusual for an Albanian and a non-Italian to be able to run their own crews on the street. Nobody's challenging. But there's guys and there's groups outside of, you see some of these mob sites, and the guys, they don't even know what they're speaking about. There was, the Westies, an Irish group out at New York, Manhattan. I would laugh if somebody ever typed something to them back in the 80s that they're not respected because they're Irish. And even, we'll talk about these days, the last 4 hits in the American Italian mafia were done by black guys. So I want to see those same guys telling them, well, we're not going to respect them. People in the street, and this is anybody in the street, whether you're Hell's Angels, my friend he just passed away, grew up since we're kids, was president of Hell's Angels. I don't think there's anybody from the street that is really a legitimate tough guy that doesn't understand the street. We understand to respect somebody with intelligence and somebody that is on the street that's tough. So regardless, no one says to you, well, what's your nationality? I'm going to respect you for your nationality.
No doubt about it. But there's a difference. Like, Mira, Tony Mira, there were certain guys that were known for being earners. There were certain guys for being known for being soldiers, right? There were guys that knew how to go make the money, and some of them that knew how to take the hits. One of the things Sammy was known for, and the reason why he got so much street credit is, and this comes from everybody I talk to. Whoever I talk to, for whatever reason, they all either respect Sammy and validate what he did, and even the whole story with him and Gotti, him going and testifying immunity, whatever you want to call it, for the 19 counts. They say he ran a legitimate construction company, was making money, and at the same time, when it came down to doing the job, he did it as well. So, but because he was Italian, he could eventually end up being a boss. What was your, end of, my vision is one day John Alite's going to be XYZ. What was your vision?
I'll tell you something, because you mentioned Sammy. Sammy Gravano, and this is the first time I mentioned it anyway, Sammy Gravano did an interview, his first one, since he's been home from his 15 years he just did. And his interview was about John Alite. He does an audio interview with a guy named Andy Deliano, who did Perfect Gangster 1. That interview is going to be in Europe shortly. and he discusses what I am, and what's a thug, what's a mafioso, what's a gangster. And he says most people, this is his words, are either like a Michael Francis, who's a mafioso, earner, but not a killer. He doesn't put a gun in his hand. He's a very intelligent man. I like him. I respect him. He speaks well. He turned his life around. He's doing the right thing. And then there's guys like Frank Collada, who's a thug, gangster, a killer. So there's two types. Sammy gave me in that interview, or he said about me, that I'm both. I'm an earner, I'm a thug, and I'm a mafioso, and I'm an Albanian mafioso that has total respect from the mob world, and that I'm a professional hitman, and I'm a killer, and I'm the Gambino's family's hitman, and unfortunately, I was around the wrong guys, the Gottis. Those are his words, not mine. Those are recorded words from him.
How many total people have you done? How many hits did you do total? I hear different numbers.
Yeah, well,
I hear 15,
well,
dozens,
you know,
19.
Here's the thing. You know, you go play baseball, and I've tried to say this is, you know, so many different times when I'm talking. You go play baseball, and a guy plays one game, and he gets a base hit. He's going to remember that for the rest of his life. It's the only game he played. I did this day in and day out. So when someone said, did you kill Georgie Grasso? I'll give you names. Did he shoot him in the head? Yes, I did. Did somebody say, did you kill Johnny Gebbett? Yes, I did. I ordered him dead. Did you kill Bruce Gotti up? Unfortunately, I'm friends with his family now. Yes, I did. I ordered him dead. Did you shoot Mike Lavegny in the chest? In protocols, he testified against you 25 years. Yes, I did. Did you shoot Ricky Stratton in the head on the Interborough Parkway? Johnny, did you shoot him? Yes, I did. Did you shoot Paul G. in front of John Gotti Sr.'s house and you didn't care it was in front of his house? Yes, I did. Did you shoot Nicky Pasquale 5 times on his porch and he loses his leg and he almost died? Yes, I did. Did you stab a guy in front of Vinnie Butch in Fort Lauderdale in the neck and the stomach and he was operated twice and almost died? Yes, I did. Did you shoot Sal Noto's brother-in-law in Bulkhead Bar? Yes, I did. I shot his friend outside the Bulkhead Bar. Yes, I did. I could go on with these names. And did I shoot 2 guys in front of Mondello's for Michael Catapano, we call Catman, still alive? Yes, I did. Witnesses. Did I baseball bat 3 bikers and baseball bat Kenny Nicole on 78th Street in front of Old Brother Inn by accident? Yes, I did. He's alive. Joey Mathis is dead. I went to protect them. Did I pipe 3 guys and hit them with bottles in front of Princeton Diner in front of Lisa Matrisiak? Her best friend's married to Joe Pungatori, a captain in the Philadelphia mob. She was there, still alive. Yes, I did. Did I stab a biker in Forest Hills in the thigh and tell them I'll shoot them in the head? They ever come looking for me again after I baseball bat the other 3 bikers? Yes, I did. Michael Finney testified against it, for it, about what I did. Did I shoot Mike Pipp and 2 other guys in front of 116th and 101st Avenue? Yes, I did. See, the difference between what I do, and I can go on, we could keep talking. I don't know how many guys I shot. I killed 2 guys for sure on my property, maybe 3. Danny Morrow, unlike some of the stories that said that never happened, testified and he's on tape. It'll be out in Perfect Gangster 2. Dino Finelli helped me get rid of the guns afterwards, seen tons of blood all over. These are regular guys. Dumped the guns for me. Testified also and did an interview on tape. Carmine Roan, multimillionaire, legitimate guy, owns Tomatoes Restaurant. Testified, I did. He was on the property. Steve Lacrotondo, insurance man, regular guy. Testified, I did. So, you know, when guys are talking out of line or out of school, I hear it all the time. So why is Sammy Gravano, the underboss of a family, talking about me in that way? Why did Ronnie One-Arm, captain of the Gambino family, I robbed all his bookmakers, he was a one-time friend of mine. I robbed Jojo Carrazzo, at one time concierge of the family, robbed his bookmakers. Why did anybody get any retaliation against me? I robbed 2 of them. I put my name in his mouth and I taped it. Steve Catalano was there. He's still alive. Johnny Burke's in jail, even though I don't like the kid. He was there. He didn't want to come near the guy because the guy was too big. So these guys are alive. I can go on. Why did Ronnie One-Arm, in his own words, in his opening statement, say, if I ain't nice to Johnny Alite, he'll kill me like he killed everybody else? Why did he say it 12 times, get his paperwork in his opening statement? It's out all over the internet that I'm John Gotti Jr.'s partner. I'm in the partners in the drug business. Over and over and over again, he repeated it. Why did Stevie Newell, a guy I shot, who I'm personally friends with now, and we had a disagreement. The Gotti said they would protect him. I shot him. Did he say on tape, "You don't know Johnny, he'll shoot anybody anywhere"? And John Gotti Jr. ratted on him, ratted on me, or became a rat, and he called Stevie a rat. It wasn't true. Why did Stevie Newell say that he sees captains in the Gambino family? Answer to me. He grew up in our neighborhood. So when guys talk, and I hear these tough guys on the internet, and you got guys like Vito Guzzo, who's doing 30-something years. He's been my enemy for years. Did I have him shot? Yes. Did he kill the guy I had him shot? Yes, he did. Do I like him? No, not particularly. Do I know him since he's 5, 6 years old? Yes. Does he have the right to talk about me? He does, because he was a legitimate gangster, whether I like it or not. And he knows I'm a legitimate gangster. They tried to kill me 7, 8, 10 times. I don't know how many times. These guys were on America's Most Wanted, Anthony Tabita, Frankie Forodello. These are serious guys.